Welcome back. In this video, we're going to discuss graphing inequalities. So, to graph inequalities, remember this time, instead of dealing with an equal sign, we're dealing with greater thans and less thans. Now, the biggest help is going to be this table right here. Now, one of the first things you have to determine is whether or not you're using a solid line or a dashed line. Now, you use a solid line whenever it has the or equal to piece. So wherever you have less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, that or equal to, so having that bar there, means solid line. If it doesn't have that, if it's strictly greater than or strictly less than, well then you use a dashed line. And then in terms of shading below or shading above, that ends up being pretty self-explanatory. If you're greater than, you shade above. If you have the less than symbol, you shade below. All right, so let's just dive right in. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plot some points. So just like before, I'm going to start with my y-intercept up at 1. And then I have a slope of 2/3. So up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3. Oh, actually, oh, I apologize. There we go. I was actually graphing that wrong. Here we go. That's better. All right, so once I have those points, now I have to decide what type of line I'm getting. And I decide what type of line I'm getting by looking at the symbol. It has the or equal to piece. That is less than or equal to. So the or equal to, the fact that it has that little bar underneath it, that means I am getting a solid line. Now, less than means I'm going to shade under my line because less than is going to be under. So I end up shading that whole region there. So that's it. For instance, inequalities, you're dealing with shading, okay? That's kind of the focus of today. Now looking at our next one. So again, I'm starting with my y-intercept at -1 and a slope of -4 over 1. So down 4, 2, 3, 4 over 1, down 4 over 1. I can do the same in the other direction. Now I need to look at my sign. So here, this time it does not have the or equal to. It is strictly greater than. So because it's strictly greater than, that's when you get a shade or a dashed line. Okay? And where's greater than? Well, greater than is going to be above my line. So if you start at any point of the line, where would above be? Well, above ends up being right up here. So you can always go to a point and just think up or down from that point, and that's the region that you end up shading. Now, something that we can't forget. We can't forget that even when we're graphing these, we need to make sure that it's in slope-intercept form. So this one, before I can actually graph it, I need to add the x to the other side. Okay, so again, make sure it's in y equals form. It's in the slope-intercept form. So once I've added that x over, the y is by itself. Now I'm ready to graph this. I start with my y-intercept up at 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I start right there. A slope of 1. Now I look at my sign, my inequality, to see what type of shading and what type of line do I make. Here I see greater than or equal to. Because it has that bar underneath it, that or equal to means that I have a solid line. And it is greater than or equal to. Greater than means I'm going to shade above my line. So again, you can start at any point and say, well, where is above it? So go up a little bit, boom, that's the side that you end up shading. Now, we also don't want to forget those special cases. So here, I have y is less than -7. So I just have y and a number. So remember, that means we're talking about a horizontal line. So horizontal line down at -7. Now I do want you to consider that this is strictly less than. So because it's strictly less than, what that means is I'm getting a dashed line down at that -7. So I have a dashed horizontal line, and less than means underneath. So that means I'm going to shade down here. And that's going to be your final answer. All right. So once again, thank you for joining me. Please make sure you have all this filled out and ask any questions if you have any before you start your practice work.